It felt, said one eyewitness, like the end of the world. Just before 10 o'clock last night, an earthquake in the middle of this island archipelago. This was the scene in the ballroom at a Miss Asia beauty pageant. Parts of the ceiling collapsed mid-event. A country which is used to earthquakes, nevertheless reeling from the impact of this one.
Lord, in Jesus' name.
And in a shopping centre, survivors praying for deliverance.
Lord, please send some help, Lord.
In the town of San Remigio, 4 people were killed by falling debris while they were playing basketball. The quake's magnitude of 6.9 left 8 Filipino cities without power. It struck in the so-called Ring of Fire, the most seismically active zone in the world, and its size means that aftershocks could carry on for months.
We are still anxious because there are still aftershocks. Now we have even lost count of the number of aftershocks we've experienced because there are a lot of them. And it's been like that since last night. I haven't even managed to get any rest yet.
Many of the injured were treated in the coastal city of Bogo. It's only 10 miles from the quake's epicenter and home to 90,000 people. Though getting food, water and shelter to those living further out has been made much harder by the damage to roads and bridges. The hospital morgues are overflowing and buildings are still at risk from aftershocks, so the dead have been laid out in the open air where relatives can identify them. And nobody knows how many are still missing under the rubble. The first few hours the most important for rescuers, who are still waiting for heavy lifting equipment to arrive.
We're racing against time. We're talking about life here. As responders, as rescuers, we're hoping that we can bring them out alive.
This earthquake struck close to the Earth's surface, which is why its impact was felt so strongly. In a country which is notoriously prone to natural disasters and is still recovering from a deadly tropical storm. I'm joined now by the chief scientist of the Philippines Institute of Volcanology and Seismology, Dr. Winchell Sevilla, who's joining us from the capital, Manila. Dr. Sevilla, first of all, the Philippines gets, 1,000 earthquakes a year. What makes this one particularly different and therefore with a larger death toll than usual?
We were able to locate the earthquakes offshore of an island. We call it Cebu. It is located in the middle part of the Philippines. The depth is shallow. It was estimated at a 5 kilometers depth. So because of it's very close to the surface, the energy was more intense. And that's why, in combination of its strong magnitude, it produced a destructive shaking, especially near the epicentral area.
And in your estimation, how well are the authorities responding to this? I mean, they're used to earthquakes. They happen a lot of the time. Are they dealing with this one? Are they managing to reach those who've been trapped or injured?
There's another government agency responsible for rescue and operations and getting all the information on the ground. That's the Office of Civil Defense. And based on their informations, there are casualties brought about by the collapse of the structures. For now, they're doing rescue operations and providing relief goods to the affected Filipinos at the epicentral area.
But you might have thought that a country used to earthquakes, because it's in this so-called Ring of Fire, this, the most seismologically active part of the whole world, that it would be used to dealing with earthquakes and that buildings would have been built to withstand them. But what we're seeing is evidence that that's not the case. Is that fair?
We actually have lots of programs dealing with preparations, not only for earthquakes, but other calamities. we do have the national building codes.
You talk about building codes, but I wondered how much those are actually being followed.
It's generally being followed, especially for those relatively newly built structures, high-rise buildings. The thing is, there are still vulnerable structures that are in the Philippines. They are often old, poorly built structures or houses. Usually, they're made of light materials. So there are still structures like that, and they're most vulnerable to earthquakes. There are also still historical structures like centuries-old churches. For example, a church in Cebu that collapsed. Basically, these churches were not built to modern seismic standards. Based on our seismic catalog, there has not been a large earthquake similar to what happened yesterday on the epicentral area, at least in the last 400 years. So that's why those structures that were built long time ago, which has not been or has not undergone retrofitting, suffered the most damages.
And is it the fact that also you've got an issue that, you know, the Philippines is an archipelago of over 7,000 islands, and presumably that means that getting food and water to remote places, shelter, is much more difficult because everybody's spread out?
Most of the relief goods is being delivered to the intended recipients. There were reports earlier that there are some roads that were not passable, but later in the afternoon, there were new information that the roads were cleared already, so they are now vehicles can now go pass through there. So our government are doing their best.
And finally, I suppose the only saving grace in all this is that you haven't had a tsunami that followed the earthquake itself, given that it happened out at sea.
Yes, because of the way the fault moved and the relative size of the earthquake, we did good thing. Fortunately, we didn't. There was no report of any tsunami occurrences. Yeah.
Well, Dr. Winchell Sevilla, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you very much.